We're taking you live now to Ankara, where the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan is holding a joint press conference with his Iraqi counterpart, Fuad Hussein. Let's listen in.
Rationalize our relations with Iraq. We have undertaken many strategic decisions, and with the related institutes, we have been working with the Iraqi counterparts. And we are implementing the decisions that we adopted in those meetings. In the recent times, we have intensified our diplomatic correspondences with Iraq, and we indeed gained a momentum in our bilateral relations. In this framework, last April, our president indeed paid an official visit to Iraq, crowning our relations. During this visit, 27 agreements and the Memorandum of Understandings have been undersigned. This also shows our common will of developing our political relations. And I also would like to open a parenthesis to the agreement signed for the joint cooperation with Iraq. This strategic framework agreement for joint cooperation indeed entails the establishment of joint committees, and those joint committees will strengthen our relations in every field, from economic cooperation to the use of joint water resources. And through those committees, we have been intensifying our bilateral relations. The joint planning group, of course, will inspect the activities of the aforesaid cooperation and aforesaid joint committees in question. With the participation of our deputy ministers, the joint planning group meeting has been organized, and we have assessed the latest progress achieved so far. And we have seen that both Iraq and the Republic of Turkey has been showing great efforts in order to boost our relations, and with the same level of efforts and endeavors, we will continue to work in order to improve our relations. Valuable members of the press, today, after our meeting with my dear friends, my counterpart, His Excellency Fuad Hussein, we have also convened the high-level security mechanism meeting. There are very important attendants coming from Iraq, the Minister of Defense, the head of the National Intelligence, and also the Minister of Interior Affairs of Iraq participated in that meeting. Yaşar Güler, the Minister of National Defense, the head of National Intelligence Organization of Turkey, Ibrahim Kalın, and also the Deputy Minister of Interior Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Münir Koraloğlu, participated in that meeting. If you remember, last March, our delegations came together within the same format. Thanks to our diplomatic correspondences, we have realized that the awareness about the terrorist organization PKK increases in Iraq. The fact that Iraq recognized PKK as a terrorist organization is really important. In our meetings, we have discussed the security and also the safety dimension of our relations. We have also assessed additional opportunities for furthering our cooperation and collaboration. And we are really pleased with the fact that Iraq also has taken the decision of abolishing the activities of the PKK. For some time, we have been discussing the Memorandum of Understanding, which is focusing on the cooperation areas in the field of defense industry and military cooperation. So I also would like to share an historical development in our relations. The Memorandum of Understanding in question has been undersigned by our ministers of defense. Through the joint coordination centers, I am certain that we will boost our military cooperation in the field of fighting against terrorism. So hopefully we will yield concrete results in our cooperation with Iraq in the field of fighting against terrorism. I hope and pray that the Memorandum of Understanding that we have undersigned will be auspicious to both countries in question. I would like to thank and congratulate our ministers of defense and the heads of national intelligence organizations. Their efforts and endeavors are of great importance, and we would like to thank them very much. During the official visit of our president, we have come to consensus with Iraq for providing visa liberalization to the youngsters below the age of 15, and this visa-free regime will be in effect as of 1st of September. This is the second good news that I would like to share with you. Valuable members of the press, as you know, our region has been going through very challenging times. Israel, almost 1 year, has been murdering relentlessly, cruelly, the innocent civilians, and we discussed this matter with our Iraqi counterparts. As you know, we are one voice and one heart when the issue is Palestinian cause. As you know, in Ankara, we marked another historical day. The head of State of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, addressed whole world under the roof of the Turkish Grand National Assembly. Once again, I would like to thank my valuable guest and his delegation, and I would like to welcome him once again to Ankara.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
May God's blessings be upon all of you. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate and the most merciful. First and foremost, I would like to thank my valuable counterpart and my dear brother, Hakan Fidan, for his kind hospitality. And I would like to thank them very much for the kind hospitality that is shown towards me and my delegation. I also would like to thank both delegations, Turkish and Iraqi delegations. They have convened many meetings for the last 2 days. And these two delegations have convened meetings in order to identify the details of the Memorandum of Understanding in question. As you know, this Memorandum of Understanding is of historical importance, and at the same time, as Mr. Minister mentioned, our relations have been crowned with the official visit paid by Mr. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan last April. And during that official visit, the Iraqi ministers and Turkish ministers also participated in that meeting. Of course, the writing of the Memorandum of Understanding is an easy process, but implementing those Memorandum of Understandings and the bilateral agreements are really important, and those agreements and Memorandum of Understandings should be monitored in terms of their implementation. There will be a joint planning group which will follow those agreements and how they are being implemented. With great pleasure, I would like to state that the cooperation and collaboration between Turkey and Iraq is at a very high level because we have established our joint committees, and those joint committees will carry out their works in a variety of sectors. As Mr. Minister mentioned in his speech, the establishment of those joint committees is an historical development in the relations of Iraq and Turkey. So those joint committees will be working on many topics like energy, electricity, use of water resources, oil, natural gas, tourism, healthcare sector, youth, education, transportation, agriculture, and the working conditions and social services. Those will be the fields in which the joint committees will carry out their activities. At the same time, the Security Commission will be carrying out its works. As you know, in terms of the military cooperation, the relations between Turkey and Iraq have been developed remarkably. Hopefully, through that commission, we will boost our relations in the field of defense cooperation. Our cooperation in the field of defense is already well established, but we also would like to further that cooperation. Those commissions, those joint committees in question will assess the Memorandum of Understandings and their implementation. We also found the chance of discussing different matters in our tête-à-tête meeting and interdelegation meetings. We also discussed how we can fight against the terrorist organizations and their activities carried out in a cross-border fashion. Both countries, both Turkey and Iraq, have been facing with the terrorist organization attacks, but we are also facing with the problems like illegal migration, human trafficking, and organized crimes. As a result, the responsibility and the duties of both governments is to tackle such problems and fight against those crimes. Those criminal organizations and terrorist organizations are carrying out their activities actively both on the territories of Turkey and also in Iraq. And the Republic of Iraq is also facing and fighting against the problem of drug trafficking. And in order to fight against the drug traffickers, without a doubt, a strong and solid cooperation is needed, and this cooperation should be established with the neighboring countries. We discussed possible opportunities for further cooperation in the field of drug trafficking with Turkey. And pertaining to the good news about the visa exemption, I would like to state that I am very pleased with this development. As of the 9th month, as of the September, the Republic of Turkey will provide the visa liberalization for the Iraqi citizens of the related age group. This will definitely boost the social integration between Iraq and Turkey, and without a doubt, this will also boost the commercial relations. The Iraqis, both in terms of tourism income and their investments to be carried out in Turkey, will have of course, further opportunities. I would like to thank very much for this initiative. With regards to the Memorandum of Understanding in the field of military cooperation, our ministers have undersigned that MOU. I guess this is the first Memorandum of Understanding undersigned between our countries for the first time. Of course, in the past, we have undersigned the notices of the meetings, but this is the first Memorandum of Understanding between Turkey and Iraq in the field of military cooperation. We abide by the constitutional rights as the Iraqi government, so any threat coming from a neighboring country will be against our constitutional law, and we will, of course, act by taking into consideration the constitutional rights. We, of course, have to protect the territorial integrity because the terrorist organizations are also threatening the territorial integrity of the Iraq. Some of the organizations who claim that they are resisting against such attacks are also threatening the future and the territorial integrity of Iraq. Once again, I would like to state that I'm very pleased with the open negotiation process, and thanks to this open dialogue and tête-à-tête meeting, we have yielded good results. And with regards to the Bashika camp will turn into a military education camp for the Iraq, and hopefully this camp will turn into a training camp. And of course, the responsibility of that camp will belong to the Iraqi armed forces. Another issue that we have discussed during our meetings was PKK and PKK elements both in Kandil, in Mahmur and Sinjan and their presence. Likewise, those PKK elements are present in other regions as well. They pose threat for the Kurdish region, and they also pose threat to other regions and the vicinities of Iraq. So they indeed pose a threat to the democratic process in Iraq. So this organization is an illegal organization, a terrorist organization. As a result, the Iraqi government has undertaken certain measures. In our Security Council meeting, we added PKK to be listed in the terrorist organization list. So PKK is an illegal organization according to the Iraqi government. And we also filed certain complaints to the federal government and issued a litigation case. And our federal government has already abolished the activities of the elements of the PKK as well. So we have obtained legal decisions, and this is a crystal clear indication that this terrorist organization in question cannot carry out any activities in the territory of Iraq. So this is not acceptable for the Iraqi people. Within the light of the regional developments unfolding, we discussed the regional matters. As you know, the tensions are rising in the region. The war that is waged in Gaza and the destruction and the murdering of the innocent people have been discussed during our meetings. As the Republic of Turkey and as the Republic of Iraq, we all want ceasefire to be brokered, and we have been working around the clock in order to ensure a ceasefire. And we try our best to serve Gazan people, but the realities are unfortunately otherwise, because the war is going on in Gaza, people are oppressed, people are tortured, people are murdered in Gaza. And our stance pertaining to the Palestinian issue and the Gaza issue is in line with the Turkish stance. And we also establish political coordination. We have always been exchanging our views when the issue is the Palestinian cause. As you know, the tensions are still ongoing in the region. As you know, the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh has been assassinated in Iran, and after his assassination, I can say that the whole region is in front of the gun barrel, if you will. So we shouldn't wage wars, because the people of Iraq suffered a lot from the destruction of wars. For decades, we suffered the destruction of war, and due to such wars, our infrastructure had been destroyed, and the whole Iraqi society, all people have suffered a lot, and we still pay the price for those wars waged in the past. So we hope that the war will come to an end in the region. This is our wish. And in principle, as the Iraqi people, we are against wars and conflicts, and we don't want the region to be dragged into further conflicts. And at the same time, we see that Israel continues with its aggression, and Israel carries out assassination to the leaders of the Palestine. We have shared our stance And once again, I would like to reiterate that our stance is aligned with the Turkish stance when it comes to the Palestinian cause. So once again, on behalf of myself and my delegation, I would like to thank Mr. Minister and the Turkish delegation for all their efforts and endeavors. And especially, I would like to thank the members of the joint committees. The joint committees convened for 2 days and they yielded positive results. I would like to thank them very much for their efforts.
And you've been listening to a joint press conference between the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan and his Iraqi counterpart Fuad Hussein. Among the comments that the two leaders made was that the Turkish and Iraqi defense ministers have signed a memorandum of understanding on military security, cooperation and counter-terrorism. This, as we know, is of great importance to both countries, including Turkey, because Turkey has come under attack from PKK terrorists along their shared border. Okay, let's get some analysis now with our editor-at-large, Yusuf Erim, who joins us here in the studio for more. Good to have you with us, Yusuf. This is quite a key meeting, not only between the two foreign ministers, but also the country's two defense ministers. Tell us more about what they've actually conducted during this meeting.
This is a very important meeting for the region, especially when you look at geographically, socially, economically. Turkey and Iraq, two countries that really have an impact on the neighborhood. And Turkey really wanting to improve relations with Iraq over the past couple of years. Iraq also wanting to advance its bilateral relationship with the Turks as well. And it seems that they have greatly advanced that relationship in the past couple of years, especially Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's visit to Baghdad back in April. That was a very important highlight that the Iraqi Foreign Minister Fuad Hussein had touched on. Now, when we look at the press conference, quite a long press conference, and you can see a lot has been accomplished on this visit, a strategic framework agreement, a memorandum of understanding regarding defense and the defense industry. That's very key. Hakan Fidan, the Turkish foreign minister, really highlighted cooperation on terrorism. He praised Iraq for labeling the PKK as a designated terrorist organization, which it had done earlier this year. That's not a new development, but I believe it's the first time these two foreign ministers are together since Iraq has designated the terror group as such. So that's very important. Also, they talked about high-level security meetings, again, regarding not only counterterrorism, but also wars in the region, human trafficking, migration, drug trafficking. These are all very important security issues that Turkey can help Iraq with. The Iraqi foreign minister also touched upon water usage, energy, oil, electricity, education, tourism, and he said that joint committees are set up to further advance cooperation on these issues as well. So a lot going on in this at this meeting, and also two more little topics I wanted to touch on too. There's also a consensus on visa liberalization for minors under the age of 15, which is going to grant some freedom of movement to many Iraqis that want to come to Turkey and study as well. So that's going to be important cooperation on education, and also the Palestinian cause. Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, here today. So touching on this issue, very, very important. We saw Hakan Fidan earlier at Parliament listening to Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, Fuad Hussein, reflecting Turkey's view, saying Iraq shares Turkey's position on the Palestinian cause, which is a two-state solution according to 1967 borders.
Yes, and Yusuf, we know that in recent years, Iraq and Turkey have been at loggerheads over Turkey's efforts to protect its border with Iraq from PKK terrorists. But it seems that, at least for now, the two countries are closer to becoming on the same page.
Definitely, when we look back 5 to 10 years in the past, any type of cross-border incursion to fight the PKK on Iraqi soil was usually met with tough rhetoric coming from Baghdad. But now we see the Iraqi foreign minister himself talking about cross-border operations to be able to help deal with terrorism. So I think that the PKK has become such a threat, not only to Turkey, but also to Iraq, also to the Kurdish regional government as well, that all these players understand that cooperation and coordination is necessary to defeat this terror group and brings that stability and prosperity that this region has been craving for such a long time.
Okay, Yusuf Erim, our editor-at-large, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much, as always, for sharing your thoughts with us. And that is it for the news for now, but do stay with us. We'll have a full news hour for you at the top of the hour. See you then.